the previous information was all about you as the user. When you are logged in using your username and your password, what information is related to you, the person. This next bit of information is about your agency. Who do you work for and who are you representing within the system? Many users, many of you on the call probably will not even see this My Agency section at all. The My Agency section is reserved for users within the system who are set as agency managers. So as you can see here in this fake agency, I am an agency manager. Um, that is the key differentiation between a user in the system and an agency manager. Both of them will have the ability to import data, edit data, look at data in the forms, move geographic coordinates, things like that. But agency managers are the only people that will be able to access this section that allows additional people to access the data. Um, so starting with agency information, I'm going to go to this section called agency information. And this is the information about, your agency. Who are you representing? So obviously I have this fake agency created. We have this address here. This is the address for our office at UC Davis. But we use this information to create the zero site geographic location. That's the initial point within the system that represents where your agency is located for one-off collections. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but that is what we use this agency address information for. This information down here is just a little bit about like how's the best way to contact you if we need to contact you or if others need to contact you within the system, just like letting us know like what's the best like generic information email or what actually does your agency do within your community. We have jurisdictions where it's like maybe the city or the mosquito control district works on mosquitoes, but then the county health department does ticks. Adding agency information like that really helps us know maybe who we should be contacting for certain situations. And the last thing you'll see here is a section about agency boundaries. So for this particular agency, you're seeing a warning saying that this agency doesn't have agency boundaries within our system. Um, and that you should contact our help email and provide us with that information. This is something we usually ask for when agencies onboard to the system. It's not always provided, but the agency boundaries help us a lot when we're trying to do spatial calculations, such as like the average temperature across your jurisdiction when you're running the calculators. So this fake agency doesn't have any agency boundaries. I'm going to switch over to Sacramento YOLO though quick. So here is their agency information. And if you have agency boundaries in the system, it's going to show you a map. This map is expandable and you can kind of go in and take a closer look to see the exact details for where this agency boundary is located. We mainly want you, if you're going to be going into this information, just to double check to make sure that the agency boundaries are correct. We know that these sometimes change. Um, maybe your district has expanded or contracted for whatever reason. So if you go into here and you don't see any boundaries or you see boundaries and you think they're incorrect, please reach out to us and we can help you get those updated. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is data access. So data access is typically managed on this manage user page. When you open the manage user page, you're going to see this view. And it's giving you a list of all of the people within your agency who currently have access to your agency's data. So here I've created a bunch of fake users. We have Max, who is a seasonal worker, and I'm just using their last name for this, so it's a little bit clearer. We have Emma, who's an intern, and we have Ava, who is an entomologist on staff. Here you're able to see what login types do they have, their email addresses, and then you're able to either edit this information that you're seeing here, or you can deactivate them. This is something that we always recommend agencies do over the off season, especially if your agency hires a lot of seasonal staff or is working with interns that you might have provided data access to. We want you to go in and double check these active user lists to make sure that people who maybe have retired or left the agency are no longer working for you, no longer have access to the data, just as a data security measure, right? You don't want people that are no longer a part of your agency to be able to access or edit the data. So I'm going to just say, let's say this Max seasonal worker is no longer with the agency now that it's winter, like you may have separated from employment with them. So here you're going to be able to deactivate their account, and they will go down into this inactive user list. And that means that when they try to use their login credentials, it will no longer work. This next section down here is agency access requests. So this is similar to what I showed earlier in the presentation when somebody is requesting access to your agency. So I have this fake user from Sacramento Yellow named Doug, and he wants to get view-only access to this fake agency. So you're going to be able to determine whether you want to accept this, grant them this request, or deny the request. That's always up to the agency managers within each particular agency because we're not going to be the ones to set who has access to your agency's data. So I'm going to grant this. They're going to get view-only access. And it says that they have been granted. Doug is listed here is a view-only member within the agency. You can also add new users here. So you would select a username, one that's not already taken, and you could provide them with a password and what is their login type going to be, user, view only, or agency manager. You can provide their name and their contact information, but really what we need is an email address. What I always recommend to agencies too is that you can just kind of use a placeholder password. You don't need to actually enter in what this user's long-term password is going to be after you create it for them. You can just take their username and go to the I forgot my password here on the login page. If you enter that username here and hit go, the system will send them an email asking them to set their own password. So you can just enter in a placeholder, then send the email request to have them reset their password, and then they'll be able to set it to whatever they want it to be set as. Okay. Okay. The next thing I wanted to show you is related to agency tokens, but for that, I'm going to go to the PowerPoint. When you click on that agency tokens, it's going to bring you to a menu like this, where you're going to be able to see the tokens that have been created within your agency. Tokens are how users programmatically access the data within the system. So you would use the token to to retrieve data via the web services. That's our legacy system to programmatically receive data. You could use it to get data through the API. When you do this, when you create a new token, you would just create a new token, and whatever user is logged in will then have its username here and the token by it. Again, this is only available to agency managers. The reason why I'm not showing this within the actual gateway is that these tokens should be treated as sensitively as your password is. These tokens should very rarely be shared or shown to other users because this could be used to access and edit your agency's data. So it is a good idea to go into this list of tokens, see which ones are active, and then expire the tokens for users that might no longer need them. Maybe Ava here was using this token for a particular project and no longer needs the token. It's probably a good idea to expire that token so that it can't be used by other users. We do automatically expire the tokens after 2 years, just as a basic data security practice, but it's always good to be mindful about which tokens are currently active at any given time. All right, and then the last thing that I wanted to show here on the settings page was related to notification management. So agency managers within the system are going to be able to set which emails can be sent to which users. So instead of a user saying, I want to get these emails, this is an agency manager saying, you are not allowed to receive these emails. So if you'll remember, Doug was a user from a different agency who requested access to our data, but maybe you don't want them receiving updates every single time you have a new positive pool. They'll still have access to the data within the system, but you don't want them getting the emails of saying, hey, there's a positive at this location. So if you deselect them here, they will no longer be able to receive any emails for any of the email notifications that we send out through the system. Additionally, let's say this intern is only working on Sentinel chickens, so you can remove their access for the other data types. that might not be relevant to them. And now they will only receive the emails related to Sentinel chicken test results. Okay, I'm going to save those notifications, and then yeah, and then they are saved.